We could all use some encouragement. And I've got some good news for you. Welcome to 5 Minutes with Mark. Hey, greetings, friends, and welcome back to 5 Minutes with Mark. We're going to pick the story up, the Gospel of Mark, chapter 7, at verse 2. Now, when they saw some of his disciples eat bread with defiled, that is, with unwashed hands, they found fault. For the Pharisees and all the Jews do not eat unless they wash their hands in a special way, holding the tradition of the elders. When they come from the marketplace, they do not eat unless they wash. There are many other things which they have received and hold, like the washing of cups, pitchers, copper vessels, and couches. Stop right there. Pretty interesting that Mark is introducing the Pharisees to this Roman audience. Remember, the Gospel of Mark is written to the church in Rome. It's written to a Gentile audience. There's not a lot of Jewishness in the Gospel of Mark. And so here we hit this very Jewish thing, and he has to stop and explain it for us. Because the average Roman would have thought, what's the big deal? The guy was hungry. He grabbed some bread and ate it. What's their problem? Which is what I would say too. I mean, I certainly think we should wash our hands before we eat. But hey, if you're hungry, your hands are dirty, but you got a piece of bread and you want to throw it in while you go for a walk, not the end of the world. Ingesting a little dirt, it's not that bad for you. Anyway, I think that it is an interesting thing that as we set this conflict up, that's what Mark is doing. He's going to set this conflict up between Jesus and the Pharisees. It's really going to heat up next week. But we see that the issue is they're holding on to the tradition of the elders, right? They're holding on to the way it's always been. And the idea that the Pharisees had was that if we hold fast to the traditions, if we honor the traditions and we don't change and deviate from those, then we protect our culture for the future. And that's not necessarily a bad idea. The problem becomes you begin worshiping the traditions. It becomes more important to do the right things the right way than to actually interact with a living God in this relationship. That's what Jesus is going to tell them over and over again. You have no relationship with God. You're in love with your rules. You're not in love with God. We need to be really careful, especially in the world of Christianity, that we don't do the same thing. And I've seen this, and you've seen this. If you've been in church for any length of time, you realize that sometimes we really do worship the tradition. We really do worship the way we do it. And we feel like, we're superior because we do it right. And those churches down the street that do it differently, they're weird, they're strange, they're somehow not as good as we are. And that's just not true. There's a lot of room in the kingdom of God for worship and ways of doing things, for expression. I think we need to be really, really cautious and protect our hearts and our minds against this idea that the Pharisees bring in. Because if we don't, we'll find ourselves in conflict with Jesus just like they did. We're called to love one another. We're called to love God. We're not called to love the hymn book or the order of service or the way we've always done it. That's not what it's about. Hey, have a good weekend. We'll see you next time. I hope you're enjoying this Bible study, this quick devotion. If you'd like more content, you'd like to know more about me and see more of the things that I'm doing, check out my website, theeclecticmonk.com. There you'll find out about my video vlog, my podcast, and a whole lot of other stuff. Hope you'll join me there. Thanks.